Right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of the Bodybuilding and Business podcast. I am extremely excited to introduce you to today's guest because he is former British Army soldier, an extremely successful entrepreneur. He is a business and fitness coach, the best-selling author of not one, but 2 books. And to top it off, he's also got a world record. Mr. Jamie Alderton, how's it going, mate?
Mate, I'm good. And what an intro. Thanks for that.
No,
I was wondering who that was for a second.
How does it actually feel sitting there and listening to somebody talking about all the achievements that you've managed to achieve so far?
The reality to me is it's just stuff. It's just stuff along my journey of things that I've experienced and got out of my comfort zone to do. Something that I say to people all the time is anybody can do those things as long as they have the belief in themselves to do it. So, it's looking back, it's like, Jesus Christ, I'm getting old now.
Yeah.
But they are, to me, just accomplishments which, I've achieved along my way of a very long journey, which is life.
Absolutely. And, this podcast is a little bit different to other podcasts I've done because normally I spend quite a lot of time researching the guests that come on, but people don't know this, but we actually go back. I was trying to work out, it must be about 2007. So we probably go back about 14 years because we both served in the Royal Signals together, and we're both based at Bulford for a period of time together.
Yeah, definitely. It was 2003, 2006, 2007. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it was.
And I've never admitted this before, but we used to train at the same gym. Like we went in like the same squadron, so we didn't necessarily work together, but we'd always train at the same time. And you were a little bit older than me, just drop that in. So I always remember, because there's always like this pinnacle when you're training, and it's like in a military environment, lots of egos there. And when you can bench press 100 kilos, that's kind of like a little checkpoint that, yes, you're no longer a wannabe, you are like, in there in the fitness world. And you were bench pressing 100 kilos way before me. And I always remember watching you thinking, I'm going to catch you one day. So you actually were like, obviously now I look up to you from, what you've achieved in business, but it goes all the way back from then. I always feel like I'm chasing you.
It's good to be chasing someone. It keeps you on your toes. I think it's important. Something I would say with envy, like envy can hinder you or help you.
Yeah.
And if you allow it to hinder you by getting jealous of somebody or wanting what they have, then it's not going to help. But if you have those people in mind that have just done the things that you want to do, and you use that powerfully, it gives you inspiration and motivation that you can do it yourself. So it's just understanding that, because I'm always envious of people and it always motivates the fuck out of me.
Yeah. And I'm very competitive as well. I don't see it necessarily as rivalry. I always say healthy competition is good. So, I'm not jealous, or I don't, dislike people for being successful. I despite whether they're doing or the content they're putting out, I always respect them for what they've managed to achieve in life. So I always look at it from a positive point of view, and I don't really say, I'm not at their level and beat myself up. It's like, right, I'm not at their level. What do I need to do to kind of bridge that gap to get to their level?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go into your background a little bit then. So in regards to you getting into the fitness industry, so firstly, how did you get into it? And then why did you choose the fitness industry?
I think for me, I left the army December 2009. And as you know, JJ, you used to having someone on your shoulder telling you what to do, where to go. And squaddies go one of 2 ways. They either grow a massive beard and get into lots of trouble because they've got no one to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
Or they go more down that discipline route of going, look, I've had this my entire life, and I had done since the age of 17. So I could look at this one of 2 ways. I can kind of rebel against the army, try and grow a beard, which I failed miserably in doing at the time, or I could just find something else that will have the kind of discipline that I need. And I kind of fell into getting into my gym training, getting into my fitness. And I always had been since the age of 13, but then going, right, the owner of the gym said you should do a bodybuilding show.
Okay.
There was a natural bodybuilding show coming up in 2010. It was I think it was like May or June. And I didn't have a clue anything about it. And you know, when he said you just got to pose in a small pair of pants on the stage in front of thousands of people, I was just like, well, it doesn't really float my boat, to be honest, but
Yeah.
I'm into my training. It gives me focus on something. And that first show that I did, I came second, and I was like, wow. And September, I did another show and came first.
Yeah.
So I kind of got the bug of doing competitions because it gave me something to focus on and something to do. And as you know, with the army, you're very much focused on pre-deployment training, deployment. You know, you work your life in 6-month rotations, and it naturally for me fell into that of having something to focus on, having something to do, and having something to kind of look forward to, that once I've done this, it's getting ready, you know, building up and then shredding back down and then doing it again and again. So I really, really enjoyed it when I first started.
Good. And obviously, like you've mentioned at your early stages, obviously you were growing at, your online business at a very early stage of social media and obviously online coaching. So with how much importance do you think it was in your journey that your physique looked the way it did to obviously generate the audience you generated at such a early stage?
I think a lot of it, when I look at it now, you know, in hindsight, I think a lot of it comes down to when you are confident in your own physique, you have less kind of self-confidence. Let me rephrase that. You have less imposter syndrome,
Okay.
because when you look the part, psychologically, it gives you a thumbs up to say you should be doing this.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, when they're not in a good place, you know, physically, mentally, or financially, they have those things creep in more. They have the imposter syndrome, they have the self-belief and self-confidence issues. And me being very fortunate, I've been lifting weights from the age of 13, and before actually going into PT, doing, you know, helping people with nutrition, helping people with fitness, and having a small following before actually going into it really helped boost my confidence and give me that massive head start for a lot of people when I became a personal trainer, when I started building my business. Because for me, I didn't start running my own business till I was 26.
Okay.
And I was married. I'd obviously been in the army for 6.5, 7 years. I traveled around round Iraq. I worked there for a year. I worked in Kenya, Somalia. So I've been around for quite a while and had a lot of life experience before going into it. So I was very
Yeah.
fortunate, because if I look back now, I probably wouldn't have built as a successful business in my younger 20s, because I wouldn't have had the confidence to push myself the way I did.
Sure. And from obviously like a consumer perspective, looking at your social media, 'cause I remember it very well. I remember seeing, all the images and that you had done. I know you had some really good photo shoots, and your physique just looked ridiculous. And from a consumer perspective, obviously them looking at that, do you think that that kind of helped you generate more business and more clients because they wanted to look like that? So
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's practicing what you preach. And just because you're in good shape doesn't mean that you have a clue what you're talking about, but it
yeah,
does help. And it
yeah,
certainly does help on the earlier days of social media, because there wasn't really much video.
yeah,
There wasn't many people doing video, and I was doing video at the time, but it was so much easier to post a picture. And that was the basic culture of things. When I first started doing social media, I didn't have a business. I was first on Facebook 2011, doing lots of photo shoots 2010, and that's before Facebook had pages. It was just
yeah,
profiles and adding thousands of friends on there. And that's before Instagram even really kicked off. And when it kind of transitioned, more people in the fitness industry went onto Instagram because they had all these crazy filters on. It was like
yeah.
X Pro 2. Oh, look at my abs go. Wow. So it was painting a perfect picture of your own self-confidence on social media, and holding yourself accountable too. And social media has changed so much these days, because I don't post hardly any of that up anymore. It's more about what's up here than
Yeah,
your physique. But it definitely helped me build up a following, build up an audience, because I use social media as an accountability tool for my own progress.
yeah,
So I'll be posting progress pics. I'll be, focusing on a show, telling people my prep, my food, my nutrition, and documenting it not only for other people, but for myself too.
Absolutely. And also, you were very fortunate at the start that you were affiliated with a very large supplement company, being Grenade. And obviously, your involvement was so much in that your actually personal brand was Grenade J.
Yeah.
So how important do you think it was to be affiliated with, such a powerful brand, and how did that kind of help elevate you as an individual in your business moving forward?
I think it certainly helped. I mean, I saw the vision that Al had for Grenade, and I was just in very much. And a lot of the things that I did, looking back, it's what I recommend everybody does. You brand yourself, you create your own kind of branding and business, and you're along for the ride with it. And being associated with Grenade was fantastic. Although, there was a lot of people that started off with Grenades and didn't get anywhere. And it's because they didn't look at themselves as their own brand. They were very heavily relying on other people for their success. And I think it's one of the problems that a lot of people have with, at least back then, with sponsorships. They were assuming that the sponsors were going to do all the work for them, and it was essentially just a supplement to that success. You needed to put the work in as well as working with your sponsors. And that's exactly what I did. I took that branding and went with it, but I wasn't relying on anybody else for that success apart from me. I knew that I had to put the work in to build that up.
So use it more as a platform then to elevate you for your future, rather than just relying on it as having that safety umbrella and just kind of, like you said, I remember the guys at the early stages, I don't really hear of them now, whereas you've kind of used that and now you've grown bigger beyond, Grenade J.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something that so many people expect other people to do stuff for them. And it comes back to this thing of no one's going to do anything for you. Success is based on yourself. A lot of people have disagreed with me on that, and they say, well, if you get the right support network around you, then success becomes easier. I'm like, well, what you have to understand is that your friends and your family will support you whether you're successful, whether you're not. It's because they're your friends and your family. So if you really want success, it all boils down to you. Yes, environment does dictate performance, but I live in a sleepy seaside town. I've never had any mentors. And my success has come from listening to podcasts and audiobooks, and most importantly, disciplining myself to do the work.
Absolutely. So where was the decision behind you rebranding then? Because obviously you've gone from Grenade J, and also you had the gym as well, didn't you? You had Grenade for a period of time, and then what was the decision then to say, okay, I'm going to leave Grenade J behind, I'm going to move forward with Jamie Alderton?
I think one of the biggest things that I remember as a quote is build your dream or someone else will hire you to build theirs. And as much as I loved my journey with Grenade, I felt it was limiting what it was that I wanted to do with my own business and my own brand. Okay. And, we had a fantastic relationship. We still do. But it was time for me to move onwards and upwards to what it was that I wanted to do. Coming into the gym, I just finished competing. In 2015 was my last show. Very much had this bodybuilder mentality. And I completely changed as an individual 2016, 2017, 2018. For me, it was more mindset. It was more my own kind of coaching. And as with anything, as you get older, you have different wants and needs and passions.
Yeah.
And it was just that time to evolve and grow by myself, which is exactly what I wanted to do.
Because when you're affiliated with a supplement company, obviously it's more about the physique. Because obviously, the physique is, the byproduct of the supplements that you're trying to sell. And obviously trying to link in supplements and now where you're going with, the mentoring and the mindset, it's obviously quite different, isn't it?
Yeah. And the thing is, a lot of companies have evolved and grown too. Grenade in itself, I wouldn't even say it's a supplement company anymore. It's more of a food company because they have ice creams, they have protein bars, and their angle has been very, very different, going from the start, very extreme, kind of bodybuilder-ish, to a softer, more, go to the gym a couple of times a week if you like. Doesn't matter if you go to the gym or not. It's all about a healthy, active lifestyle.
Yeah.
Which once again is very much something that has changed in me a lot over the years as well. Less focused on the extremes of bodybuilding and being in a calorie deficit and starving yourself to
Yeah.
jump on stage, and more about, you know, how can I stay on this planet as long as possible and enjoy myself being healthy and happy.
Absolutely. So if you could kind of just pick one, because obviously, you know, throughout your journey in life, there's always a few key things and skills that you pick up, you know, picked up some skills from the army. What would you say, like, obviously, you know, working alongside Alan, who's obviously very successful now, just, you know, sold it for 200 million, which is insane. So what would you say, like, was one of the main things that you learned from obviously Grenade and Alan as kind of like a mentor figure at that time?
I think it's just pick something that you're passionate about and go all in.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that took me a long time to really focus on what it was that I really wanted to do. Because as you're, you know, developing in business, developing in your life, you don't really know. You try a few little things, some things you like, some things you don't, some things work, some things don't. And as you go on in your business career, you find these things. And the thing that I learned the most is that you can't do everything.
Yeah.
You need to focus on being good at one or two things and go all in, and don't just be good at them, become world class at them.
Yeah.
And many people get good at things, but they don't get great at things. And you know, we're coming back to this bodybuilder thought process as well. You look at the guys that are killing it. They are in the gym. They are tracking every single morsel that goes in their mouth. They're doing the things that people really don't want to do unless that's all they want to do.
Yeah.
And those people are the ones that succeed. Those people in business, the obsessed, passionate people are the ones that succeed. And it does come at a cost. Any person that you see that has achieved, you know, ridiculous amounts of success, many people focus on the, you know, the wins, the millions in the bank and the massive success, but they don't tell you about the sacrifices that they've had to make. They don't have to tell you things that they've had to, you know, give up and give in to get that. So you've kind of got to ask yourself, when it comes to success, is at what cost are you willing to sacrifice for this?
Yeah.
And, you know, this has changed a lot for me over the years, because yes, you know, success for me, I'd rather play a 20-year game to get that success and enjoy the journey and have everything that I want, than a 5-year success, which has sacrificed everything to get there a bit quicker.
Yeah, and I think that's what people forget to remember is the sacrifice along the way. Like, you know, I was delivering something to a lady's house about a month ago, and it was probably the best house I've ever seen in my life. And me and my wife were there, and I kind of said to her, I was like, do you know what, you know, well done. You know, you've obviously accomplished this. You know, you've kind of won at life, because that was my, you know, initial perception at, you know, just looking at the house I lived in. And she said, you're true, but you don't get back the years. She said, because her husband was very successful in the industry that he was in, but they had a young daughter, and he was away for a month at a time. A week's trip would turn into 6 months. And although they've got what they've got now, the sacrifice was he missed so much of his daughter's life. Like, he wasn't there for a long period of time. So although from the outside looking in, you're like, well done, you've won. The reality is, you know, the journey along the way, you know, has been a challenge.
And you've got to ask yourself, whose opinion matters? The strangers that come in your house giving you the nods,
Yeah,
or what you feel inside?
absolutely.
And that's the most important thing. I'd rather have a house half the size with less approval of others and seeing my daughter every day.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. But
Because
like,
I'm not willing to sacrifice that.
yeah, absolutely. Because everyone's motivated and driven by different things. Sometimes it's they want to drive a Lamborghini. For me personally, I'm not a materialistic guy, and that just comes from, you know, my background and my upbringing. But some people are really driven by material things, where other people, you know, the ability to have time with family motivates them, so they're able to set up an infrastructure and a business that allows them to do that. So everyone's, you know, driving towards something different, and everyone's version of success is always going to be different as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Good. So social media, this is an area where you excel. I spend quite a lot of time looking at your content. So you probably get this question all of the time, but, you know, everyone at the moment now is trying to grow an audience through social media. What are just a few like golden nugget top tips that you obviously give to people when they ask that question?
Show up every day, regardless of how you feel. Consistency wins the game. It's a game of patience. You are rewarded based on the value that you give to others, and do what other people aren't willing to do. Video, live video, at video.
Yeah, I feel like you reel that off like you've probably said that a few times.
Couple of times.
Just one or two. Yeah. So, in regards to quality versus quantity on social media, what's your opinion on that?
So, one of the things that stops people from being consistent with content is that they don't think it's good enough. Now, the trouble that you have with that is, unless you put it on social media, you don't know whether it's good or not. I've produced videos that have taken me hours to produce and had thousands of views. I've produced pieces of content that's taken me minutes to make, and I've had millions of views.
Yeah.
So what people get wrong is the understanding of quality. Quality isn't a good high resolution 4K piece of footage or a really nice image. Quality is something that's got great engagement and has impacted people. And you don't know what that is until you put things out there. There's a great study done, which I saw in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, and it was a classroom. They separated the classroom down into two. And for the semester, their project was split half classroom, half classroom. The first class had an entire semester to produce one piece of work. And they are just to work on it all semester and submit the one. And then the other class, they could submit as many as they can. But the more that they submitted, the higher their grade got. So if they submitted 80, they get a D. If they submitted 90, they get a C. If they submitted 100 pieces, they get a B. If they submitted 150, they get an A. The stuff that was created, which one do you think was the best produced?
So the only reason why I know the answer is because I've heard you say this before, and it was the one that delivered the more content.
Precisely, because if you are dithering about trying to create the perfect piece, it's never going to be good, because quality comes with repetition.
Yeah.
You know, going back to the army, the first time we did weapon drill, everyone was shit. And then you get to your passing out parade, having drilled it in every single fucking day, everyone looks incredible. Yeah. And it's exactly the same with content. Your first piece of content is going to be shit. Your second piece is going to be shit. 3 months worth is going to be shit, but it's going to get slightly better and better and better and better. And the more consistent that you are, the more that you put out, the better the quality gets.
So would you say where most people go wrong is on that, you know, everyone's impatient now, you know that, and the fitness industry is massive for it, you know, 6 minute abs, 8 minutes this, you know, we've all done it, we've all seen it. We want quick results fast. Do you think that kind of correlates in social media, that when people's first bit, second, third, fourth, fifth bit of content shit, they're not necessarily getting the following, they just go, you know what, this isn't worth it, I'm stopping, whereas the ones that continue that is the ones that are usually successful? Do you think that's where most people fail with social media?
Most people fail because they don't enjoy social media. Okay. And they don't enjoy social media because they've got a bad relationship with it. They spend too much time consuming and not enough time creating. They don't network with other creators and surround themselves with people who fire them up to want to produce content. And the reason that I've won the game with social media is because I love it.
Yeah.
And I filter, you know, I don't follow bellends. I've unfollowed, unliked, and muted everything that pisses me off about it. And my news feeds are filled with creative people and consistent people and successful people, which drives me to want to be the same.
So it seems that with social media over the years, it's becoming massively saturated. So people are trying to do different stuff. And the main thing is like people trying to be controversial, that they get a piece of information and they try the hardest to rip it apart. Do you think that's important for people to do? Because some people have had massive success by doing that.
Here's the thing. I mean, there's two ways to build the biggest castle. Build the biggest castle and focus on building that, or build a semi-decent castle and keep tearing other people's down so yours is the biggest.
Yeah.
One of them will produce massive amounts of success because you'll focus on yourself. One of them will produce some success, but it will come from other people's apparent failures. And you'll be constantly looking at what everybody else is doing and not looking at the growth of your own business, your own social media, what it is that you're doing. And when you become known for something negative, you can only grow in negativity. And there are so many young YouTubers who have built up millions of subscribers who suddenly disappear off the face of the earth after 3 or 6 months because they're suffering with mental health problems and depression.
Yeah.
Because when you've got thousands of people commenting saying dance monkey dance, and and sending you stuff of people to tear down and tear a new arsehole and all of this kind of things, you're not going to feel good about doing that. You
Absolutely.
really not. It's only a matter of time before you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Absolutely.
What am I contributing to the world doing this? And then the answer is nothing.
Yeah, agreed. And then people just don't buy in long term, do they? It's a bit of entertainment short term, but they'll soon drop off when you just send the same stuff over and over.
And it's kind of woo woo and cliche as it sounds, kindness wins the game every single fucking day. And I say this so much. I get people try and tear me a new arsehole online, try and put hate on there, and that just gets returned with kindness.
Yeah.
It's understanding that, like I said before, if you're not in a good place physically, emotionally, financially, then that's going to come out at some point, and it's usually through social media.
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty good in all three areas. So when you're coming at me like that, the only thing that you're going to get from me is empathy and kindness.
Yeah.
And it also closes that door, because what people want in that situation is they want to fight, they want to argue, and you can't fight with someone who's being nice to you.
Yeah, absolutely. The old saying of killing with kindness is always quite effective. And it is true, because most people just want a response. Normally the person sat behind the laptop, they're very lonely. They have no one around them. The social skills aren't great. And the only way they know to entertain themselves, get a reaction, or kind of get that, level of satisfaction is to put other people down. And it doesn't last very long. And I always worry, because for some reason I don't get that much hate. Everyone always talks about the haters and this, that, and the other. I just don't think I'm successful enough yet, because I don't have too many people hating on me. I want people to hate on me. So then, in fact, I've had one person on TikTok that hated on me because I was just, TikTok's just fun. And I was doing a single arm dumbbell press, just cleaning it off the floor of a 44 kilo dumbbell. And somebody began to tell me that if I want big shoulders, I need to sit down with the weight. I need to concentrate. I need to isolate the muscle a little bit more. And I was like, okay, do you realize this is just for fun? This isn't how I train. I've just done one rep for fun for TikTok, but that's the only really hate I've had so far. So
yeah, and people always comment on everything you do. Something I say all the time is you can rescue an old lady from a burning building, and there'll still be someone out there that thinks you're a prick.
True. The person that set the building on fire, probably.
Yeah, probably.
So this is a question that I've got as well, actually, because this is quite an interesting one. So content distribution. So there's lots of different platforms now for social media, and you might find it, for example, I'll follow you on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You don't want to come at me with the same content on every single one, because it comes repetitive. So how do you personally structure and manage your kind of social media content through the various different platforms? Do you tailor some stuff? Okay, this is more relevant to TikTok. This is more relevant to Facebook. This is more relevant to Instagram. Or do you just cut it up and spread it over evenly?
In a way, yes. And a lot of it is really understanding the lifetime cost of that content. Now, if I'm posting something on Instagram, it's probably going to be there and seen for 48 hours. After that, no one's going to see it. Okay. How often do you look back at other people's old content?
Not often.
When it comes to stories, 24 hours, of course, because then it disappears. When it comes to Facebook, I think it's like 24 hours. YouTube, permanent, because it's a search engine and what it's doing. So what that says to you is that although you're spending all this time on content, it's only going to last for 48 hours.
Yeah.
So this is also why it needs to be valuable, because if people get a good feeling from your content, then they're going to come back for more, because they'll remember the last time they looked at your content, they felt great.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not really about what it is that I'm posting. And the reality is I could post the same things on TikTok as I can on Instagram. The only thing that's really changed is the format.
Okay.
9:16 on TikTok and probably 4:5 or 1080 by 1350 on Instagram. And And that's the real difference. And the fact that I can actually write some copy for Instagram as opposed to TikTok. It's same stopping someone in their place with regards to stopping them scrolling, grabbing attention, giving them information and value, and getting them to make take an action afterwards, depending on what the content is.
So just to give people an idea of who's obviously looking to grow their social media, how many hours per week on average, obviously it's always going to differ, how many hours a week would you say you usually spend creating content for social media?
Sometimes an hour,
Okay.
sometimes many hours. It depends on the content that I'm creating. And what I mean by that is if I'm creating something like a carousel, a single carousel, depending on the idea and depending on what I'm giving in, that might take about an hour and a half just for one.
Okay.
Some videos might take next to no time because a lot of what I do is I'll do a live stream on Facebook. I'll save that video and then that will get distributed into micro content. So I could have a 30-minute piece of content from Facebook, and then that becomes 21-minute pieces of content from, for my Instagram and TikTok. And that's generally what I tend to do. I tend to make one piece of pillar content and then micro content it out into all the other platforms.
Absolutely. And that's something I'm learning and doing at the moment, because I feel like I spend a lot of time trying to create YouTube content. But then I'm trying to do it separately for Instagram, Facebook. But what I've recently started doing, okay, is this is my YouTube video. It's a 20-minute long video because I do vlogs. Okay, let's, the training aspect of it, let me pull it out, put it on Instagram as like, my back workout, etc. So I'm trying to, that's something that I've only just started doing within kind of the last month, really. But obviously I'm new to committing myself fully because I've left my full-time career. I'm opposite to everyone else. I left a very comfortable, safe, well-paid job in a pandemic to go on my own and be self-employed. So, but in my opinion, if you could be successful through a pandemic, then the future is going to get easier. So I'd rather start when my back's up against a wall, because that's when I'm at my best, when my back's against a wall and I've got to kind of fight and move forward. So I'd rather start when the pressure's on and then the future's bright. So that's something I'm learning at the moment.
It's why you should always start a diet on a Friday.
Ooh, controversial.
Well, one of the main reasons being is if you can start at the hardest time of the week, then you're going to set yourself up to win. Everyone starts a diet on a Monday. No one likes doing anything on a Monday.
No, absolutely not. So in regards to social media, this is just an interesting question to ask. So if you had to remove every single piece of social media platform apart from one to obviously help you with your business, etc., what is the only one platform that you would continue to use moving forward?
Instagram. Hold up. Instagram for generating leads and building up kind of the following and a business-based following, but Facebook for the community and the groups. So more of delivering your business Facebook, building your business Instagram.
Okay, perfect. And likewise, if you just had to get rid of one right now and just wipe it off the face of the earth, which one would it be?
Twitter, LinkedIn, probably LinkedIn first.
Okay, yeah. Do you use LinkedIn much?
No.
I've just hate it. Yeah. It's very repetitive in regards to people that have got new jobs or people. It's not very interesting.
I'm not very academic. I don't like professional environments. So this is a 35-year-old man with a backwards cap on.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel, oh no, I don't like LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's very corporate, isn't it? Very corporate. Perfect. So in regards to like your business now, so you started off really fitness coaching, and then you've kind of transitioned over the past few years into business coaching. So your model at the moment, just looking at those two elements, what would you say the split is now in regards to, is it 50% fitness coaching, 50% business coaching, or is that sliding scale moved forward to one direction?
It is moving towards more of the business coaching.
Okay.
I obviously we have thousands of clients through the fitness side, but as I've got older, and of course, because of the pandemic, more and more coaches have needed my help, and a lot of my energy and focus is on that. And from a business perspective, it's a lot higher ticket price for delivering the same amount of attention and time. So, moving forward, the next 5 years or so, I'll be transitioning more into helping those coaches, especially with the online stuff. I've been doing online coaching since 2012.
Okay.
So 9 years before, and most people are only just starting now. So to be able to share my expertise and knowledge on, building up multiple businesses from doing it has been invaluable for so many coaches out there.
Absolutely. So what made you go to the obviously the coaching aspect in regards to the business point of view? What was the deciding factor to move into that area?
I think for me, I got into personal training really as, I never thought about doing it. It was a passion of mine. It's something that I loved doing. Even when I had a paid job, I was still writing people programs. I was still helping people. I was still putting out lots of value on social media. And when I built my gym, I was doing business coaching for a hobby because I enjoyed helping people. And as much as it naturally progressed into me being a personal trainer after enjoying doing it, it's naturally progressing into being a business coach because I was helping so many people for free.
Yeah.
And I love doing it. And
Absolutely.
if you're good at something, don't do it for free, as
Absolutely.
the Joker once said.
There does seem to be a bit of a common theme, especially with online coaching and fitness coaching, that people initially start off by giving a bit of advice out to mates for free, etc. And then they kind of decide that actually I'm quite good at this, and then they start making it into a business. So is that kind of the similar model that it was for you with the business coaching?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is realizing the value to others for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's always been the biggest thing for me as a vanity metric. When it came to coaching people, my vanity metric was on the results that people had. And with business coaching, it's not on how much money I make, it's how much I make for others. That's always going to be my vanity metric for it.
Okay. So you're obviously a very driven and motivated person. You can see that from, the charity events that you do. You do some absolutely insane enduring events. Like, where does that drive come from?
I think it's a realization that one day none of this will exist.
Okay.
I was doing the box jump and I had a piece of paper in front of it, and it just said, "One day none of this will matter." And it is a reality that a lot of people aren't willing to face, that one day none of this will matter. There's one inevitable thing about life, and it's just going to end one day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to remind themselves about that, but it's the first thing that I wake up thinking about. And that allows me to make the most of what it is that I'm going to do.
Okay.
And here's the thing: is you don't have to do anything. That's what fires the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. You can live a mediocre life. You can have a normal job. You can, whatever it is that you want to do, that's absolutely fine. You can do that. Or you can choose to do whatever it is that you want to do. And it's just, I wake up and make that choice.
Okay. So how do you personally manage, like, how do you measure your personal success? So, in regards to you saying, maybe let's say, you've retired, you're looking back at your life, what would kind of be the determining factor to your success? Like, do you have like a goal, I know for you, it's not so much cash in the bank. I don't really see you as a very materialistic person.
I'm not at all.
I look at your social media, and you look on YouTube, and all the thumbnails of people stood in front of Lamborghinis, doing a bicep shot. And I don't see that from you. I know you like your little gizmos and gadgets. I want one of those one wheels that I saw you on today. That looks, to be fair, I probably shouldn't have one now whilst I'm still bodybuilding, because I will hurt myself, but it looks fun. But how do you kind of measure your success if it's not in regards to materialistic items?
Happiness.
Okay.
That's it. How happy I feel when I wake up and go to sleep. How happy I feel with my family, the freedom that I have to choose the days that I want to work. And, I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Okay.
So 4 days a week. And that should be the metric for most people: fulfillment and happiness in doing what it is that you're doing.
So would you say at the moment you're happy?
Incredibly. I'm always pushing myself for more.
Yeah.
But at this, and my business is growing. The team that I'm working with is growing. But one thing that's not growing is the hours that I'm working.
Okay. So obviously, in regards to, most people try and develop that successful feeling, and you're there already. but you're still driving for more. Like, what is that kind of motivating factor for you getting up every day and putting it, because you don't need to put in all of the work you do. You've already got some very successful businesses. You've already got a really good audience. You could probably still maintain quite a happy life, enough cash in the bank to provide for you and your family, but you're still always driving for more things. Like, I'm keen to know what that is in your head that's saying, no, Jamie, we need to do more. We need to do this. We need to do that. Let's do another event. Let's, do another business. Like, you're always pushing.
Because at the end of the day, what's the alternative? Let's just say, think about this, right? Have you ever played a computer game?
Yeah, but not for a long time, because my addictive personality would be a recipe for disaster.
Imagine investing all your time, which a lot of people do in a game, and then you complete the game. What happens? Emptiness. Imagine when you get excited watching a box set on Netflix, season 1, season 2, onto season 3, and then it finishes. What do you feel? Emptiness. Why do you want to complete the game at 35 years of age? What are you going to do afterwards? I know what everybody else does, who I have read about and seen, who has achieved everything they ever wanted to at a very young age. It leads to depression.
Okay.
When you look at the astronauts who have walked on the moon and come back, what you find is at the age of 30, a lot of them, when they finished that, suffered a lot of depression, a lot of drug addiction, alcoholism. Why? Because there's nothing more life completing than walking on the fucking moon. Okay. How do you top that? How do you continue on striving for things after you've done that? And for me, it's just like, look, for me, it's about impact over income.
Okay.
It's about understanding that someone needs me today. Someone needs me to turn up to feel good. And there's nothing that makes me feel better in comments when I hear someone say, thanks, I needed that today. That's what drives me.
So would you say that then, on the flip side of that, kind of, what one of your fears in life is feeling empty and not feeling needed?
It's not necessarily feeling needed. It's feeling that I have skills that make others feel better. And actually me not using those skills is putting other people, it's not putting that value into the world. And that's what drives me. But at the same time, I fucked this up before. I fucked this up massively in 2016. I was giving too much of myself, and end up having a massive meltdown, because I wasn't prioritizing why I was doing all of this stuff for. And what it was is for my family and a better life. And it's not having a better life when you're only getting 4 hours sleep and you're working 100-hour weeks.
Absolutely. So in regards to future achievements, do you have anything like planned that, these are some kind of milestones that I want to hit and I want to deliver? Do you have any kind of like future aspirations for yourself at the moment?
I think it's continuing doing what I'm doing now. Okay. Just continue. I always measure 3 things: my body, my brain, and my business.
Yeah.
And the growth of all of those is all done by what I like to call my 1 chapter a day analogy. And essentially what that is if you read a chapter of a book a day, within a year, you've read 30 to 35 books. Yeah. So all you need to focus on is reading 1 chapter. If you want your business to grow, it's maybe making 2 or 3 pieces of content a day. And that's your focus. So for me, read a chapter of a book to increase my brain, produce 3 pieces of content for my business, and make sure that I'm hitting 4 workouts a week for my body. That compounded over time, I'm going to be so much further where I want to be.
So if you had to put those in order of most to least important, body, business, and brain, how would you put them in order?
Transformation starts from the neck up: brain, then body, then business. Because if you get your brain and body in order, your business will be there too.
Absolutely. And at the moment, are you thinking of an exit strategy? Are you thinking long-term down the future, or are you kind of just playing it like, day by day, week by week, year by year, or do you have an exit plan?
I've got a focus till 40, so 35 now. My kind of reset will be my 40th birthday. I'm taking the family for a 6-month round the world trip where I won't be working. I'll switch my phone off. I'll have no social media on. And that will just be family time to travel around the world, to kind of stop and think about what I want to do from the age of 40 to 50. And then I'll come up with my 10-year plan from there. And then I'll probably do the same on my 50th. And then I'll focus on my game plan of life from 50 to 60 and 60 to 70, 70 to 80. And then my last 5 years on the planet.
Absolutely. So just obviously before we kind of end today, it's been a very insightful podcast into yourself so far. So in regards to, you know, an exit strategy for yourself, you know, when you get into that point of, you know, 40, 50, 60, you know, what will you do to pass your time and obviously live the life that you want to enjoy? You know, what are your kind of hobbies away from, you know, business and things like that? You know, what are your kind of, you know, do you like traveling? Like, what are the kind of things that you've always wanted to do, but you haven't been able to do because you're so invested in your business and yourself? Like, what are the things that you would love to do?
Not a lot, really. I mean, I pretty much do everything that I want to do now. I get up in the morning, go for a jump in the sea. You know, if we're looking more materialistic goals, build my own house in my 40s by the beach so I can walk down to the beach, make sure the place is amazing for family and friends to come around and entertain. Really want to, last year I was hoping to start paramotoring, something that I really want to get into, purely because I remember walking down the beach at 5 o'clock in the morning, hearing a noise, and this guy about 100 foot in the air just paramotoring across the sea as the sun was coming up. And I was just like, that looks fucking incredible. So paramotoring will be one. As I said, more travel. So definitely traveling around, 6 months off around the world with the family. And as I said, I want for not much. So for me, it's being able to spend more time with people, being able to give more value to people as well, and just continue doing what it is that I love doing right now.
Absolutely. And, you know, the man behind the social media is the man you see face to face, because you do it because you're passionate about it. And I always say that, you know, you can have all of the skills in the world. Passion sometimes will just tip you over the edge in regards to that level of success, because if you absolutely love what you do, people can see that and people buy into it. Like, I absolutely love fitness. I love training. Like, I'm obsessed with it. And without that, I would be absolutely lost. I think that's so, you know, it's so transparent with you that you're not saying that, oh, do you know what, I'm doing this because of an exit strategy that, you know, I want to go and buy, you know, a house on an island and just live my life comfortably. So I'm putting the graft in now so I can sit there with my feet up and not do anything. You generally like that satisfaction of helping people, and that in a way gives you happiness, is helping others. And that's, you know, one of the most unselfish things that I think I've ever seen in an individual. So I think that's awesome, mate. Well done.
Thanks. I said, you know, things always change as you get older. You know, I probably delegate more of my social media out, but it will still be based off the concepts and the things that I do. And, you know, something I'm very much looking forward to after this crazy year is just getting out on the road, chatting to more people and socializing, you know, getting people down to this new studio, which I've built to do more seminars and just get amongst it by helping people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I know you've got to go, mate, so I really appreciate you spending the time to come on my podcast, mate. Obviously, congratulations for your success so far, but I know that, you know, that the future is going to be bright for everything you're doing. I appreciate your time, mate. It's been like two old mates catching up back in the days of, you know, we don't have our berets and our ironed uniforms on anymore, a little bit more casual. But
ironed uniform, I might think I got away with that quite well.
Right, I need you to do one thing before you leave the podcast, and take your hat off and let's compare mops.
Oh Joe, my missus has been cutting the hair, so.
Oh mate, that's looking good.
It was worse. It was much worse than that.
I feel like I'm going like Super Saiyan.
It's just a lot grayer than yours. That's all.
Still got a couple of years of youth on my side. Perfect, right. Well, I appreciate your time, mate. It's been great, and thanks for coming on, mate. Okay.
You're welcome, mate. I'll speak to you soon.
Perfect. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.